I would like to welcome you to the Horse Speak Book Club. I'm your host, Laura Wilsey, and we are embarking on a journey through the Horse Speak Trilogy here. And the Horse Speak team is dedicated to giving horses a voice and being their advocate. We provide evidence-based knowledge of equine body language that is intrinsic, observable, and repeatable. This is a judgment-free zone. Everyone here has a varied horsemanship background, and we ask you all to keep the environment safe so no one feels shamed in any way. So in the chat and things of that nature, we just like to have, a nice, no banter back and forth in a negative way. That's really what we pride ourselves here because each person, horses, it's such a private thing. So we want to make sure our learning environment is safe for everyone to feel good because that's what we're here for. All right, so we're going to get started. And Laura, was part of this making of this book where we started in 2014. And Sharon, who is my partner, she wrote this book along with Gretchen Vogel. And Gretchen, we found her somehow on Facebook because of this horse. Her name was Karma, which then transferred to Pavati. And it was an amazing journey to be a part of putting a book together because it's something we never did before. And so with that, my part of it was actually redesigning the entire book after it had passed into the publisher. And so we had to make a brand new outline, and I cut and pasted like a 200-page document from an original to a new one. And that was quite a journey, as well as organized all of the pictures and captions and things of that nature. So I was like the background editor of this book, and it's just such an honor to be here to share this book with you, as this book has changed my life with horses, as well as being a business owner and things, and also being the head of this amazing journey of being an advocate of the horse. So we are going to begin. So there are definitely some more. In the first page, we have In Loving Memory of Zeke, who is the Andalusian, and Vati here, and we have some others to add who have passed on since the writing of this book. So this book is dedicated to the horses that have carried me, Sharon, past the known and into the unknown. May your wisdom illuminate the way for all humans who wish to enter into their landscape of your peaceful world. Right? Big table of contents. All right. Introduction. Everything means something. Some of you may remember Mr. Ed, the talking horse, who starred in a black and white television comedy from 1958 to 1966. Mr. Ed's lips flapped during the voiceovers, creating a magical effect, especially for a horse-crazy kid like me, Sharon. I fantasize about what my someday horse would say to me if only he could talk. Childhood asthma restricted Sharon's activities, reading about horses and drawing her herd of model horses. In junior high, she was well enough to begin working on a horse farm. And by the end of high school, she was exercising top-level dressage horses. Finally, Sharon was a young mother, and she was able to own horses of her own. As you can see, I am changing the I to Sharon, just so you know. She adopted a large pony, the color and build of the ancient tarpon horse, an extinct species of wild horse that some attempted to bring back via selective breeding. Rocky was to be the companion for a young golden snowflake Appaloosa mare named Dakota. Sharon became a student of those two horse gurus, and in time, even more horses joined her herd. It was as if her childhood models had come to life in order to teach her. She started to notice the same gestures and movements made by the horses at various times, whether subtle micro movements or larger postures and positions. She saw each quickly swift into other twitches and motions. Her artist's eye was able to freeze frame the gestures as images. She began to see how the same gesture meant the same thing to all horses, and further, how horses were bound to respond similarly no matter which horse was making the gesture. She suspected she was witnessing language and not simply behavior. By the time her adult equestrian career included coaching a collegiate equestrian team, giving lessons in clinics, rehabilitating horses, consulting with horse sanctuaries, and teaching equine assisted learning. In each setting, she observed the highly ritualized and predictable language of horses. At home, she took notes, made drawings, and watched some more. Her passion for understanding the meaning of these individual gestures made her try to mirror them back to the horses. She had the dubious responsibility to come up with clear and consistent movements they might recognize in return. Quite suddenly, she realized her horses were teaching her their kinesthetic body language dialogues. She was being escorted through the basics of language like a young foal learning to be in the herd. And then one day it dawned on her that she really was having conversations with her horses in their language. Learning their language opened a portal into their innate way of being. She's always admired the work of particular horsemen and women who seemed to be having a private dialogue with the horse. If she was seeing language and learning how to use the words and phrases to converse with horses, perhaps she could help others read, interpret, and act on the subtle cues. She wanted to decode this language, breaking it down into small details anyone could understand. This book is the result of her desire to share what she's learned and helped others communicate with their equine partners in the same illuminating and fulfilling ways she can. Horses must be bilingual. They must speak horse language to horses, although if they had been isolated, they may not be effective communicators with other horses. In addition, horses need to speak human. We use words and inflections to indicate our many levels of feelings, needs, and replies to each other. Humans don't need to rely on subtle visual messages. We express less with our bodies than we do with words. We make so many random movements around our horses that they can be at a loss trying to understand us. This book is her translation guide to the visual language of the horse, which she calls Horse Speak. It is meant to help both sides of the coin, human and horses. Just like learning a foreign language, you will first learn distinct movements that are the horse's individual words. You'll learn how to mirror his words visually in a way he will understand. Eventually, we will be able to combine these gestures in sequences and pose questions to horses. When a horse replies with his own movements, you will understand what he is saying and be able to respond logically. Fluency in horse speak comes with the flexibility to have a conversation automatically, calibrated with appropriate intensity, and give you the means to become fluent is Sharon's goal in providing this manual. So I will have Danuta, if you would like to read, I'm going to have you start reading the next couple of subtitles.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
What is leadership really? Horse Speak helps you understand. Horse Speak helps you build a relationship with your horse, one based on trust, respect, unity, and acceptance. Achieving these four elements depends on your ability to express yourself as a leader. Horses are captive and dependent on us for their very survival. Being a leader actually means letting your horse know that when you show up, all is right and he is safe. Does your horse trust you to guide him through the human world? We've taken horses out of their natural environment and asked them to step through doors, jump over obstacles, get in and out of trailers. Imagine you were in a foreign country. The tour guide didn't speak your language, and he was uncertain and nervous as he asked you to follow him in and out of strange places and spaces. You wouldn't feel safe in his care. You can tell a horse he is safe with you via simple conversations that address his concerns, and by knowing how to clearly calibrate phrases of intensity within the practice of horse speak. This will in turn cause you to feel safe with him as you both develop deeper trust in one another. We all have events that challenge our safety. You might have to bring a horse in during a thunderstorm, or when your horse is sick or injured, practice first aid until your veterinarian arrives. Sometimes another horse in distress at the barn or horse show can set yours off. However, the more regularly you have conversations with your horse in his language, the less likely you are to lose your connection with him during a stressful event. This keeps you both safe, and that is the essence of good leadership. The ideal connection. The bottom line is, when your horse doesn't feel safe with you, you are not safe with him. Many of Sharon's clients are people who have had one horse romance in their lives. They tell her about the horse of a lifetime they were effortlessly in sync with, the horse that, even when things were not going well, kept trouble from becoming a disaster. The horse that rebalanced them over a jump, got them through a muddy spot that turned into a bog, stood still when they slipped and fell on an icy patch, and didn't react when a flock of wild turkeys took off from trees overhead. This was the horse that took care of them. Fortunately, people don't need to go from horse to find this ideal connection. Instead, you can bring resources from within yourself to create a safe and intimate partnership with almost any horse. This book is not about training. It is about transformation. Yes, most of us had the blessing of a wonderful horse. Although all horses have much to offer us, the real question is, what do we offer them in return? When we think of being safe around a horse, we always think in the terms of the horse not harming us. Do we ever consider the horse might be worried how we might harm him?
Thank you, Danuta. And Sherry?
True dialogue. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sharon offers Horse Speak as a framework for communication. It is not a rigid formula. When you are truly in dialogue, you can never predict how a horse will answer you on any given day. She's now set aside her normal horse training techniques in favor of conversation with a horse because she can pose a question or pitch an idea to him and see what he thinks about it. Knowing Horse Speak has made it possible for her to know unequivocally if a horse is answering her question with curiosity, playfulness, and affection, or just complying with her requests out of fear, habit, or training. You'll discover that as you learn how to have a conversation with your horse, you become more relaxed and playful. Many of you value your relationship with your horse as much as you value his performance. Deeper bonds of friendship will blossom as you show your horse you are willing to listen and learn his language instead of just expecting him to respond to yours. What ultimately separates us from animals are our own misconceptions. Traditionally, we've held that groupings of behavior are instinctive, and outside the animal's control. Their movements have been labeled as surface behaviors. This definition is still widely held by many trainers and is a limited view that belies horses' acute sense of self. We believe, since animals don't think in our words or have a sound-based language, that they have no internal dialogue. Yet horses use their language to link to the internal narratives of other horses all the time. They assist each other and change each other's minds. Horse Speak now allows them to link with us. It is the way our horses will ultimately help us begin to think differently about them. Species relationships. Humans do not have to be acutely aware of their environment in order to survive. We don't have to pay attention to detail. Our words are more important than body language, so we don't even have to pay that much visual attention to each other in conversation. Horses' language, on the other hand, is rooted in their worldview as prey. They've survived in spite of being the food of choice for a variety of large carnivores. They possess an intense awareness of their environment and with almost 360-degree vision, acute hearing with big upright ears, a great sense of smell, and the ability to run fast. They see your facial expression, body language, clothes, and hair, and every twitch you make. Your intention to move in a certain direction is easily read well before you actually do it. Humans and horses are both social beings. We have this in common. When you are with a horse, the horse considers you a part of his herd, even if it is only a herd of two. When a chicken is in the pasture, the chicken is now counted in the herd. All of us have seen cats, goats, and dogs in a herd with horses. Horses offer us this natural inclusiveness as well. It is one reason we may feel so good when we are with them. But it is also a reason for becoming more in tune to what our body language may or may not be saying to them. There is an unfortunate idea in the horse world that we cannot let the horse win or resist our requests. The truth is, most horses are designed by nature to accept a submissive role. Very few are truly alpha animals. Learning their language brings new understanding of their code of honor and how it can be part of a successful relationship with horses no matter what. Perhaps the conversations will bring new insights and show you secret parts of yourself as well. When we allow a horse to maintain his dignity while utilizing his own code of ethics to engender mutual respect, everybody wins. Allow yourself to evolve as your relationship with your horse transforms. Investing in this is taking steps on a journey to becoming a whole, healthy, and balanced human being. Sharon's deepest hope, is that when people understand the language of the horse, it will become impossible to abuse a horse by accident because someone didn't know what the horse was saying. We can balance our expectations with our horse's preferences and at the very least hear him out without being afraid that giving him a say in his life will result in him being spoiled or ruined. Some horses have more opinions than others. By practicing conversation, you create trust, respect, unity, and acceptance. Sharon hopes she's contributed some tools that humans will use peacefully and joyously with horses. The warmth of a connected friendship is all the reward any of us need for the small amount of time it takes to learn and implement this mutual language.
Thank you, Sherry. 12 easy steps. In clinics with students, Sharon teaches horse speak in 12 easy steps, and so that how she has organized the chapters ahead. It is her hope that a sensible progression, such as the one laid out here, will make learning this means of communication both appealing and infinitively achievable. Horse speak is acquired in layers, and it is necessary to learn some skills in a general sense early on, only to return to them later and explore them in depth. And so she begins with fundamentals that are important to understand and be able to employ every step along the way. Two areas of particular importance to this work: breath and body language. You will find pages that detail her understanding of the meanings behind equine communication via breathing and physical gesture before we progress to what she calls the 4Gs of horse speak: greeting, going somewhere, grooming, and gone. The 4Gs are the framework of equine interrelationships and, most of all, discussion between horses. And she feels between horses and humans can be categorized under one of these headings. Well, she can help define and describe different modes of listening to and talking to your horse, as with human speech, which depends on that which is anything but obvious. With horse speak, it is the level of intensity or pressure that accompanies a gesture, movement, or stance. No matter how subtle, the slightest motion can in fact deal great power. Any individual truly committed to being able to communicate effectively and fairly with horses must practice regulating intensity, and she offers a number of exercises to help you begin to manage what's going on inside your body, as well as what is going on outside your body, like a cat fight. In addition, get ready to sample dozens of what what Sharon calls conversations, distributed throughout all 12 easy steps. The conversation provides step-by-step templates for you to follow in your day-to-day interactions with your horse. How to read and hear what your horse is saying, and what you should do and say in reply to in a happy place. Finally, you'll meet Joe. He's a fictional horse with the kinds of issues common to many equines today. You can follow along as Sharon uses horse speak to work with Joe and his owners from her first meeting to the resolution of many of his problems. The details she can provide in describing the process of interacting with such a horse supply an invaluable glimpse behind the scenes, tools you can most certainly use, and cause and effect scenarios molded with one thing: educating the reader in mind. HorseSpeak is not a training method, nor does it specifically teach you how to be a better rider. However, whatever discipline you prefer, whether you subscribe to classical horsemanship or natural horsemanship or something else altogether, HorseSpeak can complement your methods and improve your relationship with your horse. Just wait until you see what it will do for you. So we are actually, I think, just going to stop here before we go into step 1, and we are going to have a discussion. And my thought would be to have folks who would like to have a comment or anything at all about the reading that we had, or any questions. I will have you, if you're able to go on audio, then we can talk about your thoughts instead of just having to type them through. So if you do have a comment about the reading, please just let me know in the chat and we will get you on the audio. And I hope you all enjoyed. Again, thank you, Sherry and Danuta, for your amazing reading. It was helpful to not read all of it. And so as time goes on, we're going to see how this format does work out with just reading for a half an hour-ish. I mean, we read a little bit under than that right now, so we might spend more time. All right, great, Pat. We might spend more time reading to get through more of the book, but I think people also will enjoy having the conversation part also. Where are you? Just a minute, Pat Cameron. There you are. All right.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, this is an example of the more often you go back and reread something, the more you get out of it, especially over the course of time when you hear other things in between. And the one thing that really stuck out to me here that I wanted to comment on was a sentence on page 5 that you read that said, in truth, most horses are designed by nature to accept a submissive role. Very few are truly alpha animals. And that just kind of hit me as nobody talks about that. And it seems like it would be so helpful if people talked about that and how to determine what is an alpha animal, and the fact that most of the time, even then, those truly alpha animals probably aren't acting in an alpha way, that are probably still willing to act as part of a herd and be cooperative and submissive, and how to deal with that. Because, as was said earlier, horses' world is a very gentle world, but ours isn't. And just that basic thought of when you enter into a horse's world, it's so important to leave our world behind, and the way we approach our world, how defensive we can be in our hearts and our minds, and we don't even realize it. We don't realize how gentle they are, and how that approach is so helpful in dealing with them. And that's my comment.
Thank you. I love this comment because the alpha word is definitely a word that I apologize. I forget the gentleman who said it, but it was regarding a wolf pack. And it's funny, I was just having a conversation with somebody about the alpha word. And so the way we view the word alpha in a horse herd is not alpha. It is more of a mentor, protector, teacher. And with that, the horse who is moving the least is the one who is acting as a leader. So if you do have a horse who is moving all the time and moving and driving other horses a lot, then from our perspective, we are seeing that type of horse as displacing stress. And so it's when we look at the roles in the herd, which is gone over in the third book, as well as we do have a webinar on horse personalities, we do go into depth about this topic. But when we're talking about alpha, and it is associated with the dominant, I'm going to rule the roost, and that's what I say goes. And the piece that is in a horse herd it's beautiful. Because if you see horses, I'm pointing over this way because that's where my horses are right now. They're out there chilling out. It's like 0 degrees right now. And Rocky is over there having a nice day, pawing through the snow, looking for some grass. The girls are out grazing on their hay and things. And so if horses are standing still, that's work. Because everything in the environment is safe. And in particular, last year, I was putting hay nets at the far end of their paddock, which they live in. They sleep in, they're out there 24/7. And if I took Rocky out of the herd with Mummy, Luna, and Jagger, and I have the hay nets at the far end, they wouldn't go down there. Like on a morning like this, where it's so cold, they didn't feel safe enough to go down to that far end to eat. And so as soon as I moved the hay nets, then they did come and eat, or I did some other safety and protection messages to help them feel safe in the environment and things of that nature, and they would go to the far end of the paddock to eat. So this alpha concept, and actually the gentleman who made it up did try to recant that, but it's so quickly things get out in the world, and it's hard to bring them back. So he did say that there was a misconception, because even in a wolf pack, they are working together, and there is a leader, and the leader is the sentry or the watcher or what have you, and the other dogs or wolves are looking, just like at the horse herd. There's the sentry, there's protectors, there's peacemakers, there's all different, they all play a role to create, if one could imagine, a healthy family system. And even if horses are separate, because a lot, if you're boarding your horse, sometimes the horses are alone or maybe just have a pasture mate, but they're still the herd mind. They are still working together and looking at each other to feel the safety and protection. Because if they don't feel safe, nothing else matters at all. And so it's important for us to help them feel safety and protection, whether they're out just grazing or if we have them in on a lead rope. It's our responsibility to be that mentor. So yeah, the alpha, thank you for bringing that comment in, Pat, because that is a big thing. And we are, we're predators, you know, and I think what seems to be with clients that we work with is that there is this misunderstanding of how horses behave in a ethological way, like in their natural environment. And then we feel discouraged. I think that's some of the frustration that one could feel, is that they don't know what to do. And so then with that, then if we have an inner, you know, our inner way of being is if we get mad about not knowing for whatever reason, anger comes up, sadness comes up, fear comes up, these internal emotions that happen, then sometimes we end up, and the industry has allowed it to then be a little bit abusive to the horse. And the industry has allowed that. Be like, darn you, horse, why are you not doing the thing I want you to do? And so through the journey of Horse Speak, like the book said, breathing and using our gestures and pausing is absolutely the number one thing. Breathing and pausing, doing those two things. If you don't understand, taking a step away, be like, look, horse, I don't know what the heck you mean. I'm sorry, but can you help me? You know, goes such a long way, because then we're congruent. We're saying, I got nothing. And they understand that. Because if we're just internally bubbling over and be like, I don't know what to do, then that's going to give them the sensation of we're having this anger, and they're going to become afraid of us. So, and that can be totally by accident. And that's the thing. We're not pointing fingers, you're a bad person because you don't know what to do. It's like, no, this is an accidental thing. You're not trying to do that. And that's what our goal is with Horse Speak, is to educate each person to be able to have tools in your tool belt to the horse individual that's in front of you. Just like I have a way of being, as you have a way of being in your day-to-day activities. So it's like we want to give you as much energy and ways to do this for you. Like the book said, this is about your journey. Sharon has paved the way for us to gain this knowledge. And just with learning any type of language, you have to put some time and energy into learning it, as I need to put more time into learning German or Dutch or the other languages that this book is written in. So I am going to see, let's see. I saw someone had, oh, thank you, David Meck. I appreciate that. I saw Wendy. I'm going to get you on the audio. I see you have comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi there.
Hey.
So I was just, the timing of this, I'm just so grateful that you're doing this, because I finished my Everything Means Something course recently.
Okay.
And when I was connecting with Rocky about that, and this is just like a personal thing, you know, he is like, welcome to Horse Speak, start again. And that was always my plan, was to start all over. So like the time, and it's all like, this is all within the last few weeks, because just you reading that, I had goosebumps, because I get why he's saying that, you know, again, just from like in a personal way, because of everything I've learned from doing the year-long program. Hearing this again, I remember when I first read this and when I bought this book and what was going on and where I was at, and hearing these words again with everything I've experienced with you guys over this last year.
Yeah.
I had goosebumps, my cells were like vibrating, because it's just hitting me I had tears. I was like welling up. This is just so beautiful. The what you guys share and teach and bring to your love of horses and humanity. But hearing it again, I could see why, like, yes, I have to go through this again because now I'm going to take it inside
Yeah.
in a whole new way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just so grateful you're doing this because the timing is so perfect, especially when he was like, yeah, welcome to Horse Speak, time to get started,
Here's your you got your black belt. Now let's talk at the white belt again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. For all the detail, that I couldn't take in before.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and especially as I was trying to save my life and my horses when we
I was
started.
just going to say that, like, you were in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. I was totally in survival mode. So I was taking in what I can to just get by.
Mm-hmm.
And not be triggered, like you said, the frustration, which brought up the anger, which to my, all of that without the tools that I've, acquired, but now need to get proficiency. And I think that's what, Rocky was trying to say, like now start to like unpack them and really get to know them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It's so funny because I was actually like wanting to well up before the 12 easy steps at the end.
Yes, right. Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely the part. I was like,
yeah.
Because it is the depth of what Sharon has put into this book, the passion for the knowledge of understanding the language, but then the heartfelt nature. Like, this species is profound.
Right. Right. And I have goosebumps again with you saying that. Yes, exactly.
And they teach us so much. And that is the thing. It's like they have so much grace with us.
Right. And usually,
unless like in your instance, I mean, you did have a very dangerous horse who had some very deep trauma. So therefore you were in like a circumstance of like, I don't know what to do with you.
Right.
And so then you had fear and anger. I mean, just for a second, just tell the folks about your horse just for a minute.
He was a high-level Lusitano by the age of 7, who also was used in Spain as a bullfighting horse. He was kept a stallion. And Sharon had showed me a video of how they train these horses, which is they charge them with these fake bulls and try to stab them. He also was gored. And so when I got him, he had been in the States showing heavily at the upper levels in dressage, like 4th level pre-St. George. And when I met him, I now know from all that I've learned from you guys, he was in freeze. But to me, he was like so calm and so much fun to ride and had all this knowledge and was just like, didn't react to anything. And I thought, he is going to be so fun. And then I got him home and I'm like, so tell me about yourself. What do you like? What don't you like? How could we be friends? He's like, I fucking hate you and everybody else. And so it became really dangerous and he was incredibly spooky.
Yeah.
Lights on, nobody home. He came out of freeze and it was lights on, nobody home a lot of the time. And then it would go from pleasant to aggression, leading him, grooming him. I mean, the aggression just would, it vibrated off of him, his level of anger, which triggered fear in me and anger in me because I had PTSD too, so we were two like broken, traumatized souls.
Yeah. And you've been a lifelong horsewoman.
A lifelong horsewoman. He was like I can't even think how many horses I've had, trained, raised, babies, youngsters, evented, jumpers, the whole thing. No fear. And so I didn't know what to do with them. And that's why I bought the book and then, started this journey. And it's been beautiful for both of us. Not always the way I want. I'm not always getting my way, but a lot has changed, which I won't go into now. But anyway, so just start. And if it wasn't for this, I still would not have him. Like, there's no way we would have
Yeah.
stuck together.
Yeah, because the first time we met him, he did try to attack through the fence.
Yes.
Yeah. And so and what we talked about with this type of guy was that he had a huge crosswire because he was trained to attack.
Right. Oh, right. Yes. He was trained to attack bulls. Yes.
Right. So therefore he's like, oh, you're here. I'm going to attack you now because, yeah, he did come out of his freeze mode. And if anyone's read Waking the Tiger that talks about, trauma, then that tiger woke up inside of him. And
oh, right. I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so therefore, in just 9 months, really, you had such a beautiful transformation from an attacking horse to, I just love the story where you're at the farm and your dog is out playing in the water and goes out swimming.
Yeah. He goes in the water and plays with them in the water jump. Yeah.
Story where you're out on the trail and he's like, wait a minute, we need to go off of the side trail. And you're like, okay, I guess. And then moments later, a horse comes galloping through.
Right. Yes. And those are amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So thank you, Wendy. And yes, thank you for the plug also for the Everything Means Something course, our year-long course.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, yeah. No, it's great. But it's just the timing, of him, of like, when I was so excited to tell Rocky, like, I'm finished. He's like, you're just getting started now. It wasn't a celebration. It was like, okay, now we can begin.
Yes. Yes. And actually, since you did say you were talking to Rocky, I am going to, if you want, this will be a great forum that you could offer some of your readings if people were interested.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
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 Absolutely. The thing is that, this isn't like, just to say this isn't telepathy, this is body language, and that's the thing we're teaching is it's observable, repeatable information based on evidence-based knowledge that Sharon has put together. And there is that gift that people do have of being able to animal communicate. And Wendy is a profound communicator. So that's why she's saying she's talking to Rocky.
He's been one of my supporters through getting through and staying alive.
Yeah, because he was also a dangerous guy also, too. So therefore it's like, I'll help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he'll say, click, call the code. Not my call. All right, darling. Well, thank you so much for your comment. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
All right. And Sherry, it looks like you have your hand up. And I'm going to get through the chats real quick. We are going to have a hard stop at 11 because this could go on forever. So I apologize if I miss people during this time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just briefly, I kind of hung on the just wait until you see what it will do for you phrase at the end of it. And I recognize a lot of people in here are very immersed in horse speak. Maybe not everybody, but I've had some really incredible experiences with 3 different herds this week at my barn. But one of them I just wanted to mention, which happened yesterday, was I entered a pasture with 8 horses, and there was a lot going on. They were anticipating the hay being brought into the hay feeder. So much was going on in that field, but I wanted to adjust my horse's belly straps. So I had to wait. I had to just kind of wait. I didn't want to take him out of the pasture, but I had to wait. So I went over to the corner of the field to just stay safe and observe. And the biggest guy in that herd, who is also a protector, and I know that from one of the videos I sent in, came over and stood and blocked everyone from me. And then his buddy that he plays super rough with, came over and wanted to engage him, and he didn't take the bait, and he just stood there. And then finally I had this opening where I could go over to my guy, Bradford, adjust his belly straps, and that same guy came over and stood perpendicular to his butt and held a safety zone for me while I did that. And I just wanted to share that because these are the types of moments where I go, oh my gosh, that just to be able to see that little bit that I could see
Yeah.
because I've been studying horse speak with you guys for 3 years or so, 3.5 years, I guess. Yeah. So just wanted to share that. And the other comment I had was about the alpha. How pervasive that is really interesting, because there are some very dysregulated horses at our barn that have the reputation of being the guy in charge, which is that complete misconception you're talking about. And it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know it is this interesting thing of thinking like the horse that's moving everybody is the one that's in charge. When this is a species, if they're running, it's because of fear. And I think over time, artwork, for example, in carousel horses, the faces that we've seen for decades, centuries, has been the stressed out, eyes bugging out of their head, like facial expressions, their ears pinned back. Like that is how we see horses and what we've known to be acceptable, instead of that what we call airplane ears and the soft jawline and the lower lip that's hanging and drooping and the soft eyes. It's just been ingrained in our minds that it's like stress is normal in a horse.
Well, even for people, when you think about a parent, the best parenting skill is calm authority.
Absolutely.
And those horses don't, I guess a lot of people don't pay as much attention to them because they're quiet. And there's a couple of those in that field. Yeah.
Yeah, the sleepers, they're just like, yeah, they're just there. There's Ned. He's hanging out, having a nice day. And he's being the model citizen.
Right. He's holding, yeah.
Yeah, and then for us as humans, as you mentioned, being a parent or a mentor or what have you, or a boss, like if you start yelling at child or subordinate employee, then you look frantic. And people are just going to be like, whatever, I'm not going to listen to you because it's too much. It's like, Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. So it's when we are able to manage ourselves, and that's really what it's all about. We want to be good responders to situations rather than reactors. Because if we have a reaction, then that's where the emotions are behind us. And we don't have to be perfect, but we could say, hey, horse, I don't know what the heck you're saying. I'm getting stressed out. Then we're congruent. If we speak about what's going on internally, externally, then we can then have more of a neutral playing field with our horse. So, that is something that you could try, because it's magical thinking to think that we're not going to have any stress being around a horse, or even being in day-to-day life when you're having to deal with maybe a kid who's having a lot of troubles and you just want to yell at them all the time. It's not helpful. We want to be a really good mentor, pausing and breathing. Then that's, for me, that's also a personal mission that I'm on, to make sure that I do keep my zero under any circumstance. So, Sherry, thank you again for reading today, and I love your comments. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and probably later today on the club. And let's see, I have Ducka.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My comment it really resonated with me, the part about the one horse romance. And my very first horse, who was given to me, he was a donation to the vet school when I was working there. I really knew nothing about having a horse, and he was 3 years old. So we were everything you're not supposed to be. And we worked so well. It was incredible. And I think what ended up happening with me was the more I learned, the less I knew. So I've sort of been trying to recreate that feeling and that level of connection that I had with him with every other horse I've had since. And I've never been able to recreate it because I've learned too much in between.
Right.
And it just really resonates with me because he took such care of me. when he shouldn't have. I mean, he just should have said, you're just stupid and you should get hurt. That's all there is to it. And he didn't. And he took care of me even when he got his leg in a hot wire fence that was on. He stood still.
Wow.
While somebody went to unplug it. And he was also he was like a joker because he only really behaved when I needed him to behave. Otherwise, he never did. So it just really resonated with me. And I feel like Horse Speak is allowing me to forget so much of what I have learned, in air quotes, and go back to what I feel.
Yeah.
And really be in the herd. And so many of the things that I've been told are really important aren't important, and that I can just be with my horses, and that's what's most important.
Yeah. And it sounds like you had a teacher mentor. So therefore, he was like, I've got you. No matter what, I've got you. You're fine. But then you meet a different horse who can't fill in the gaps for you and is not a teacher mentor type character. And then you're like, okay, what do I do with this? So that's why the beauty of Horse Speak is helping you to see what is the character in front of me, their energy type or role in the herd, and then you can adjust yourself to each horse instead of like the one thing for all the horses.
Well, and that, the whole training and telling them what to do and everything else really doesn't do it. It's finding out who they are and how they can learn and how we can be together and be our best selves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's quite a journey, and I'm glad you're on it with us.
I am too. And again, I have to plug the year-long course. Is really amazing.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you. Yeah, it is amazing. It's 52 weeks, and you get your club membership included. You get a monthly mentor call with one of our certified mentors. And then you also have a monthly check-in meeting with Sharon and I also during that time. And if you do join the EMS program, you have lifetime access to the monthly check-ins if you decide you want to keep going with that. So,
it's amazing. And it has helped everything in my world so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Bet. We look forward to seeing you later on the club, Ducka.
I'll be there.
All right. Cheers. Thank you. All right, we got time for one more. Danuta, you had a comment, and then we're gonna shut it down. And Dominic, actually, before I get Danuta, I did see. What would you suggest how to use the books if the focus is either more listening to talking? It makes sense if that makes any sense. I'm kind of okay with talking and explaining the horses what's going on, but I still struggle with listening and interpreting what they are saying. So the best thing to do with listening is film yourself and do whatever, respond to the horses with any kind of communications, and then go back and watch it, because that is the best way to learn the language, because so much is happening in 3 seconds. So the more you can set up a selfie stick or a tripod in a corner and look through the viewer to see where your stage is, then you can go and do some kind of conversation. And within the books, it's tough with the books because it is a visual language being taught in an audio form. So unless you're an audio learner, reading a book could be a challenge for learning the language. But filming yourself doing something and then watching and then having an objective view of like, oh, I did this, I got that response. Oh, I see the horse did this and this. So therefore, you can kind of start getting more of that observation skills and the intrinsic nature of how your body is decoding and encoding the body language in that moment too. So, and Danuta, you just have a couple moments and then we're going to shut it down.
Okay, so I'll just like to say this about intent and being authentic. I just had an experience with Bethy, my little 5-year-old mare. She ate a plastic bag. I saw it disappearing into her mouth, and like the horror, it was just horrible. And so like I tried to catch her and without a halter, and like my daughter was there with me, and we were trying to get, she wasn't having it. So I ran to get a halter. I put her on a halter. She was perfect. Well, she was perfect putting on the halter. And then she was like, no, you're not going anywhere near my mouth, because she's been drenched on the way here. She hasn't got over the like having things put in her mouth. So I just stopped and very calmly said to her, Bethy, I need to do this. And she let me, just like that. It was like magic. And I think it's just because I was authentic, and I felt, and she felt that I was helping her, because I retrieved a handful of mushed up plastic. It was like in my fist size of mushed up, and she couldn't swallow it. And she was just like chomping, and she was like starting to panic a bit. So I just managed to pull it out. I hope I got all of it. I got most of it anyway. And yeah.
Wait.
But then afterwards, I let her go.
Yep.
And before she went to the paddock with the others, she came back to me. And it was as if she was saying thank you.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, so beautiful. But
That's
I think it's because I was
chills.
authentic that she let me do it. And it was amazing.
Good for you. And I know, and you've had some different challenges with her, and she was untouchable.
Oh, no, not with her. Never with her, with
Oh,
Dandy.
was it with her? Oh, Dandy. I thought you didn't you have her for like 6 months and you kind of just let her be a horse when she first arrived?
Oh, no, that's Piper. That's yet another one.
Piper. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Piper's our mentor, yeah.
Yes,
But
okay.
Bethy's, you did have a video with her
Yep.
when the tree fell from the sky.
Yes.
If you remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
She's
I'm so glad that you were able to just be clear with her, like, I need to help you, and you had to stick your hand inside of her mouth to get this out of plastic bag. That's amazing that she let you do that.
Yeah, she trusts me. We have a very good connection, and it's lovely. And I'm learning to slow down and actually listen to her, because I tend to get a bit focused on doing rather than listening. I'm human.
How human of you. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you, Danuta, for reading today and also sharing that story, because that is a dangerous moment, where our nervous system could get triggered and be like, oh my gosh, and things of that nature. So you were able to speak your truth internally. And she's like, okay, you've got me. Let's do this. Let's get this plastic bag out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's
That's
how I
awesome.
felt.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Sure.
All right. Cheers. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for sharing space with us today for our first ever book club meeting. This meeting is going to happen at the same time, same place every Tuesday. If it's not going to happen for which reason, you'll receive a notification in your email. You will keep the same link for each club meeting, so you don't need to look for your email. So to be able to log in, just put your link in a safe place. And thank you for all the chats. Comments. I'm sorry I didn't get to those, but we are trying to keep it to a solid hour, because if you've ever been involved with one of our webinars or the club, it can go for 3 hours. So Tuesdays, we do offer our Horse Speak Club. It's a $30 a month membership. And we do talk about horses and horse speak the whole time. We feature our members' videos. And if you're interested in checking out the Everything Means Something program, you visit horsespeakacademy.com, where you signed up for the book club. And if you hit the online courses, you'll be able to find Everything Means Something, as well as Building Your Foundation, which is a 12-week program. And it's the beginning of the Everything Means Something course. And if you have any questions, just let me know. But till next time, I hope you have a great day and you stay warm if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, because it is cold here in New England. So be well, take care, and we love you very much.